Carlos. Hey Jay, nice to see you here. Um, I wanted to do this video. I think I'm like the only member of this fellowship that actually mentioned Harrison Ford's birthday. So let me turn on the light because it's a little bit. We got this, and I'll be right back. Anyway, talk about our favorite movies of his. Our favorite movies of his, and you know, uh, wish him a happy birthday. It's not everybody who gets to reach 80 years old. And, he's been maligned by a few people, I know personally, for daring to do an action movie, but then you hear people who are on the set with him going, he's the real deal. This is no shit. He kicked my ass. He's in better shape than I am. You know, guy who's in his 30s. Harrison is kind of a remarkable dude. Okay, he really is. And of course, if you saw the upload that I did, the music video, I have a little love relationship with the Pretenders because I started to realize who they were 1980, 81 when MTV came out. And Talk of the Town and Back on the Chain Gang, to me, were synonymous with when The Empire Strikes Back came out, and then the lead up to Return of the Jedi. Just kind of everything it's kind of like you have a movie that you loved, or a series of movies, a TV series or whatever, and you have music that kind of takes you back to those moments and makes you think about all of it. Well, that's what the Pretenders are to me, which is why I love them so much. Chrissie Hynde is I think one of the greatest female rock vocalists of all time, and she was in London during the rise of the Sex Pistols. She knew those guys, so she was a punker, and she was one of those women who could survive it pretty well. But I'm talking about Harrison. So yeah, that's why I used "Talk of the Town" because I thought it's perfect song for him on his birthday. A lot of the pictures, like the first two, he actually did roadie work and camera work for the Doors for a week. He said a week. And it was pretty interesting, the story that he told. I wish I had it cataloged so I could show it to you guys, but in that one where Jim Morrison is standing here and he's standing on this side looking at the camera, it's only lasts for like 10 seconds, but that's him. Okay, so that was in the year I was born. That was 1968. Okay, so these are all a bunch of old hippies. They're not the Mark Hamill age hippies. These are the original guys. Okay, the Doors and all of that. And Harrison hung out with those people. He lived at the LA Commune, So, and then of course the next one is another one where he's got the black thing, and that whole video is really interesting and kind of funny. But then you get into the whole everything else. He didn't get discovered right away. Like he went to Hollywood in 1962. He quit school. He was going to Ripon College for philosophy and up in Wisconsin, and decided to hell with it. Grabbed his, I think Mary was still his girlfriend at the time, and they went to California, and he became a contract player. One Gene Hackman movie where he plays the bellhop, delivering a message, and then you saw him in episodes of Gunsmoke, and Kung Fu, and some other things on TV, including Love American Style, which just makes me laugh my ass off. I remember that show. Very little girl, and getting really upset that my sisters would dare to force me to watch it because I thought it sucked. But at the time I was into, if it wasn't the Monkees in reruns, it was Bugs Bunny or nothing. Okay, I was not interested in that at all. Even though I did like the guy, the Odd Couple. Okay, Oscar was like my hero in that show. But yeah, he did episodes of Love American Style, and he was a contract player. He just wasn't hitting it right. And I think part of the reason why is because you get some executives who just don't get it. They don't see what the camera sees, and they told him to quit acting. All right, and so he got a part in American Graffiti, which the picture of him in the cowboy hat, Penny or what's not Penny Marshall, the other girl from Laverne and Shirley, Cindy Williams is sitting on the other side of him. He played Bob Falfa, the drag racer, and hey Jay, so he was in that, and I think if that was the first movie where he actually got kind of a credit. The next one was a movie called The Conversation, which was directed by Francis Ford Coppola after The Godfather, and he played conniving, backbiting, scheming, plotting, conspiracy dude trying to overthrow an executive. Okay, you gotta see the movie. It's kind of hard to follow. And Gene Hackman was in it, and it actually got nominated for Best Picture. Okay, so that was Coppola, I think, directed it. It got nominated for Best Picture, and it didn't win, of course, but still. And then I mean, they're sitting there, and George Lucas is auditioning Sylvester Stallone. Now, I want you to picture Sly as Han Solo. Just sit back and go, what? Okay, Rocky. Yo, princess. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. So he interviewed Sylvester Stallone, Christopher Walken. Hey, Polly, how you doing? There were a bunch of others, and I seem to forget a few. But Al Pacino, he actually offered the role to. Han Solo to be played by the shortest actor in the world. And, Kurt Russell, who actually, I think, I've seen the audition tapes, and he actually did a fairly good job. If not for Harrison Ford, probably Kurt Russell would have played Han Solo. But they were doing this at American Zoetrope, Francis's offices. And while they were doing this, Dino De Laurentiis or Brian De Palma, they were interviewing other actors and actresses for another movie. So this is all kind of a combined audition. Everybody read. Okay. And Harrison was building because he was a carpenter. That's how he took care of his family. He was a father of 2 kids. And that's why he seems like a real masculine presence, unlike, you could name the actor nowadays, even Brad Pitt. There's something lacking there, and it's genuine masculinity, authentic, because the actors actually really lived a real life. Okay. And so George Lucas had Harrison play the role of Han Solo and read for him. And I think it might have been Marcia who said, that's Han Solo. George's like, oh, no, I don't want to have him in another movie. I never do the same actors twice. Well, the role went to Harrison, and that's when suddenly Hollywood discovered this diamond in the rough hiding amongst all of them. It's like, duh. He's been there for 10 years or longer. Okay, guys. So that's how that happened. And, you've got movies like The Frisco Kid, which was a comedic Western with Gene Wilder, where Harrison played this outlaw gunfighter, train robber. Yeah, well, he said that, but he was still reading the part. So they were auditioning other actors, but there he is, reading the part, with Carrie Fisher, and an instant chemistry because she was like, like every other girl was. The lead singer, the girl who ended up being the lead singer of Berlin, she was really young. She was like 15 or 16. She was too young. But in that audition, she was scared. She was really nervous. Okay. And it's kind of cute because it's like, he ain't going to bite you. And you're not going to get the role anyway. Okay. But, all right, going back to the Frisco Kid, he played this train robber outlaw who befriends this Polish rabbi who's going to San Francisco, who ends up getting robbed of all of his money. And he has to make the trip across country, not in a train. Okay. So they befriend each other and they go on all these adventures. And of course, Gene Wilder is. It's just really interesting watching that how that went. And then you've got a movie that got pilloried, but I like it, called Hanover Street, and it's about a B-25 pilot who, the guys would get leave to go to London. He's in London and he meets this woman who's a nurse, a British nurse, played by Leslie Ann Down, quite by accident, and they fall in love. The problem is she's married, which I'm going to say this happened. This shit happened all the time, okay, during World War II. And, you're going, kind of, you follow this. Turns out he has to drop these guys off on a mission behind the lines in France. Christopher Plummer, who happens to also be her husband. Okay, so it's overly romantic, fluff, but I love it. I think it's a great movie. Then we get Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, where he solidified himself as a rising star. And then we get Blade Runner, which wasn't received well at the time, but it's probably one of the greatest sci-fi futurist movies, if not the greatest ever made of that genre. I'm not kidding. And then he got his first and only Oscar nomination for Witness, where he plays, and this is kind of funny because I kind of live in the area where they filmed it, a Philadelphia police captain who's in basically the guys that inspect the cops who police the cops, on the trail of some corrupt cops, and a little Amish boy going to Baltimore, goes to visit, or is on his way to visiting his aunt in Baltimore with his mother, witnesses a homicide. Danny Glover, etc. And I think William Fichtner, or wasn't? No, I don't think it was him. Played the guy that gets his throat slit. It was really gross, by the way. All right, it's directed by Peter Weir, and it is a really good movie, and it's romantic, and it's like when you really start thinking about it, you gotta kind of take yourself out of the reality, because a guy like that is not gonna go for an Amish woman. I don't care. He'll protect him, but he's not gonna fall in love. Okay, but it's a great movie, and it's a lot of fun, and you kind of get to see how they actually live. So, and then we get into Temple of Doom, Frantic, which I just watched. If you haven't seen Frantic, fucking see Frantic. Okay, it freaked me out the first time I saw it. Oh, I do too. Jay. Let's see. And they was presumed innocent. And then we've got, The Last Crusade, another Indiana Jones where he teams up with Sean Connery. Perfect casting for Indy's dad. Perfect. And then we get The Fugitive and Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger. We get into it. Okay. I think his best role is still Han Solo. Um, about the only thing you could stomach watching TFA is when he was in it. I mean, that was what made it, when you first see it, passable. But when you see what they did to him, it's like, force choke, fucking force choke. Ah! JJ, come here. I got something for you. Um, uh, and then Indiana Jones and Richard Kimball and Jack Ryan, John Book, Rick Deckard. You know, you can name the characters. This guy has been relevant since 1977. Okay, that's over 40 years now. Okay. I mean, it's getting, yeah, it's over 40 years. He's been acting for close to 60 years. Okay. And he hasn't missed a beat. Oh God, yeah, Maze, I would too. Hi Maze, how you doing? I mean, he has not missed a beat. And to the people who were attacking him for getting hurt last year, when you've got guys in their 30s, I sent the video to Maze saying that he's in better shape than I am, and he kicked my ass, and he did. That's saying something. These are guys that were on the set of Indy 5. He would bike 30 miles before a 6 o'clock call to go see to work on this set. He's 80 years old today. You know, and I just look at people who say shit like that and I feel sorry for him. Okay. He's just, you know, that guy. And, you know, you look at Mark Hamill, he's chubby. He's an old fat guy. Okay. And he's letting it happen. Harrison might not be as willing to do that. And he's, you know, he's just been such a person in our culture for so long. And I really think we should all stop. Every movie fan out there who loves Star Wars, who loves Raiders, who loves Blade Runner, and go, thank God for him. Okay? He's the last of the movie stars. They don't, look, I can't see anybody approaching that authentic masculinity that he has. Chris Pratt is a doofus. He doesn't. Bradley Cooper, I've heard he's dating Hillary Clinton's girlfriend. Okay? Just, I'm telling you that right now. What's her name? I can't think of her name right now. That Lebanese chick who's married to Anthony Weiner. So obviously Cooper's into, yeah, Sam Elliott, but Elliott never reached the peak of that stardom like Ford did. You know, you can't look at somebody like you know, I said Brad Pitt, you know, any of them, and think, wow, you know, that's a man, you know. And the thing is that, again, Harrison Ford brought a reality to all of his characters because he had to work outside of the profession. He wasn't sitting in offices waiting to be called to do an audition every day, you know. And oh God, that would be cool. That would be cool. So when I think about him, I think he is part of the last of a dying breed because we don't have that anymore. I mean, look, we used to have guys like that. But I'm going to say it. Adam Driver, despite spending, what, 2 years in the Marine Corps, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have any authentic masculinity. He went to fucking Juilliard, okay? He wasn't working, you know, building stuff or cleaning stuff up or fixing stuff, you know, doing something with his hands. What makes a guy that brings a dose of reality to every character is what did they do beforehand? Ronald Reagan was a lifeguard. All right. Humphrey Bogart was a naval veteran. John Wayne played football and he moved stuff around and he worked on the sets. He didn't get in there and start auditioning right away. And he also was mentored by John Ford, who kicked his ass every single day he could. Okay? Pappy Ford was unforgiving. All right? So you got actors like, Clark Gable brought that. Douglas Fairbanks Jr. didn't bring that. There's a difference between sissy boys and American movie stars from back then, and Harrison Ford's a callback to that. So I wanted to do a little tribute to him because he's my favorite actor. He's been my crush ever since I was 9 years old, and I haven't felt disillusioned or hurt. I've been confused. I mean, Callista confuses me. All right. But also, as I've said about, Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy, we don't know. So we don't know. And okay, fine. I'm confused, but that's me. But still, unlike when you're looking at something some movie star says, like Mark Hamill has insulted the hell out of me. Harrison Ford has never done that. And I think the difference is the generation. Mark is a pure baby boomer. And he grew up not necessarily at the tail end, but he was in his late teens, early 20s, when all the guys that started all of that were in their upper 20s into their 30s. My oldest brother, Bill. Old hippies are not like that. They're not. George Carlin is a good example. But Harrison Ford is one of those guys. He's not going to go out because he's not that generation. He's not a boomer. He grew up right before the baby boom started. He was born right before that. Now, some people say, that's not when it started. It started after the war. It started when the war ended in 1945, okay? And I could tell if you met my brother Bill and then met everybody and met the 7 people between him and me, there's a vast difference in the way the people in the middle see life and the way that the oldest and the youngest do. Quite similar, okay? Quite similar. So it's very, I think it's noteworthy for people to understand that people gotta remember that he's not like the rest of them, and he's not gonna go out and insult. He doesn't have an official Twitter account. He doesn't have an official Instagram account. It's all fan stuff. And he won't go on there. It's stupid. It's not like I said, cool people don't go on Twitter. Unless they're mean, they go on to troll people. But so let's talk a little bit about what's going on. I'm waiting for Mike to send me the article from the Orlando Financial Times. I think those, or Business Times or whatever. And it's a story about Disney hiring studio people in Florida. I want you guys to understand that this is an indication that they're expecting to get rid of a bunch of people in California. The reality of the situation with the walkout and everything was the people who screamed and shouted about Chapek being anti-gay and all that is simply this. They don't want to move to Florida because they're bigoted and prejudiced against the people that live there. And they honestly think that something bad is going to happen to them if they move to Florida. This is how dumb they are. This is how ignorant and bigoted they are. Okay? There's a far higher chance because of crime in California of something bad happening to you than there is in Florida. Okay. And you can fight back in Florida. All right. All right. So I want to read that article because when I get it, I have a feeling at least a couple of my theories, as it were. I just dumped my keys, came out of my purse. At least a couple of my theories are going to come true about that. And the one is Disney's excuse me. Disney's looking to unload a bunch of employees that have been causing trouble simply for the fact they don't want to move to Florida because they're a bunch of bigots and they're too good to live in Florida. Even though, the east coast of Florida with Palm Beach and Palm Spring, Palm Beach, Florida and Miami is every bit as culturally diverse and fun. And of course, the Florida Keys, Key West is like, I think, one of the gayest places on earth. I'm not kidding. You could ever find. They still think it's a bad place. So we'll see. We'll see when I get that article. I really want to read it. And we know that Kareem Daniels hung out with Bob Chapek at Walt Disney Land in Paris. We think meeting away from Burbank, so no prying eyes and nothing can get out there to the public, so they can get the moderation of Disney underway. And from what Walt Disney World Pro said about when they expect this to happen, either in November or February or March. Okay, so it's not going to happen tomorrow, but you might just start seeing people leave sooner. God, a friend of mine who does stuff with a certain actor whose name I'm not going to leave you with, told me that Pablo Hidalgo was at the offices yesterday. Now, here's the deal. Go on Twitter. Some idiot whose name I can't remember was attacking the Phantom Menace, saying they were part of the mythological January 6th insurgency that never happened. That was allowed to happen. And, the Capitol doors. I've been in and out of those doors. I know what it takes to open them. They did not open them. They can only be opened from the inside. Okay? That already breaks everything. And I've said this before, if those people had been armed, they'd still be there. They would. They'd still be there. All right. And that's a fact. Anyway, they were attacking the Phantom Menace. Matt Martin said something. Pablo chimed in with the typical, the Humphrey Bogart and, it's Major Reno from Casablanca saying he's shocked that there's gambling in this building. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Anybody that disagrees, look, we're dealing with a bunch of intellectual buffoons, clowns, okay? And they have literally wrecked Lucasfilm. They have, all right? They have. And the only way it's going to get fixed is if they're gone. And they're still doing it. Pablo still went public and said something. All right? We'll see if he deletes it. Okay? Because they've deleted other things when I pointed it out. Okay? I'm really, I'm done. They have to go. Matt Martin does too. I was willing to overlook him. You know, the quality of mercy is mightiest and the mightiest, but not anymore. No, he's got to go. If you're gonna sit there and say something that fucking bigoted, that ignorant, because somebody doesn't like a fucking movie that you guys are part of. You don't need a safe space. You need a rubber room, a straitjacket, and a Thorazine drip right into your arm. Okay? You do. Because that, you know, I gotta say, man, I was in awe of that. And they're still doing that. They still think that they can get away with stuff and that Kathy will somehow come and rescue them. She's not going to rescue them. She's not. They think they're safe. They're not. Sorry. They think they're going to be fine. Meanwhile, the guy they all hate more than Hitler, Bob Chapek, just got his contract extended 3 years. And here's the funny thing. You bet your sweet ass Bob Chapek knows who they are. You bet your sweet ass that he knows who Victoria Alonso is. Okay. The idea, if you honestly think that he's not aware, you're underestimating that guy, and that is to your own peril. Okay. I would rather overestimate someone and have them shock me with buffoonery and incompetence than underestimate them and get my ass kicked. Okay? That's like going into a football game against a team that's 1-10, and you're 10-1, thinking you're just gonna stomp all over them. All right? They're a pro football team. They're not doing very well this year, but they can still beat you. Okay? All right? It's better to overestimate someone than underestimate them. Okay? That's the problem. That's the problem. Look, it's a problem the left has, because here's the deal. They think they're the smartest people on the planet. Pablo Hidalgo thinks he's so much more smarter than all of us about Star Wars. Okay? And he's resentful. He's jealous. He's petty and immature and vindictive. Okay? Why? I got a reason why. George Lucas never gave him a chance to really impart any of his ideas. Okay? That's why. That line from 2018 where he said something about billionaires should be mulched. That wasn't at just anybody. That was at George. That was at George. No appreciation. Look, we are dealing with a cadre of people at Lucasfilm who have absolutely no appreciation for what came before them. They don't walk through the halls at Lucasfilm thinking about the hard work, thinking about building it up. To them, George's sandbox is their own political podium. Okay? And they can be as wacky and as kooky and as vindictive and politically insulting as they want to be. Okay? They're not there to entertain. They think they're there to enlighten. You're there to entertain. I don't need to be enlightened. All right? I don't want somebody in Hollywood trying to enlighten me. Okay? No, that's just not how that works. Okay? These are the last people you want telling you how to live your life. Okay, God knows. Hey, even Chris Pratt denied, when he said, I am not religious, defending himself, he denied Christ. He's a Christian. He said he wasn't. If he does it twice more, we can start naming him Peter. And that's not exactly a compliment, okay? Peter paid for that. Brad's gonna pay for this. All right. I was insulted by that, but again, we're dealing with people who think they're smarter than you. They're not. Think that they're wiser than you. Oh no, they're not. Who cannot abide by somebody else's opinion that a movie sucks. Okay? I mean, you know, there are movies out there like Cannonball Run 2. Eh, you know, I didn't really like Smokey and the Bandit. All right? Eh. Some of Mel Brooks movies weren't great. I mean, like, you look at a lot of movies that I don't like. All right, everybody has that. We didn't like the sequel trilogy. It was insulting. And on a large part, on purpose insulting, right? It's not our fault. It's not your fault, not my fault. It's their fault. Obi-Wan to Anakin, you did that yourself. Okay? They did it themselves. We are just like, hey, this sucks. We're the ones that were expecting filet mignon, lobster, and, appetizer of caviar from the Black Sea with latkes and, chopped up eggs and onions. Okay? Instead, we get slop in a cardboard box. That's, from McDonald's. That's what that was, with a great big swastika on it. Because they can sit there and say that they're lefties and socialists, so is Hitler. Hitler said it. He said it. The National Socialist German Workers' Party. NSDAP. Nazi. They are allowed to have things. You are allowed not to have things. You are there to consume what they think that you're capable of consuming. They don't think you're smart. And this is the story group. This is Pablo Hidalgo. This is the social media, which again, I saw them talking to Star Wars Explained. All right? Do you understand the conflict of interest there? This is so unprofessional for them to befriend those freaks. Molly Damon and her bitch. It's like, I will call them out every fucking day of the week. It is unprofessional. It is a conflict of interest. It hurts the franchise and the company because Molly Damon and her husband have gone out joyfully to shit on other fans. All right? You can sit there and point fingers, but you're going to have 15 pointer right back at you. Okay? We're not the ones that were calling people ists and phobes and all the rest of that shit because they didn't like TFA. They didn't like The Last Jedi. We weren't the ones. We were the ones being called those names. And all because we didn't like the movie. I don't like Admiral Holdo. I'm a fucking idiot. Why is she here? She's a terrible character. I hate Laura Dern. I know why she was there. Because they wanted a dyke in that fucking, as for representation. All right? Fucking ruining Leia's character. There's, I just imagine Rian Johnson taking a great big dump on 40 years of, George Lucas's hard work. Why? It's too white, too straight, and there's not enough women. We didn't need the women that they put in there. Because they weren't women. They weren't women in any way, shape, or form. The idea that Rey is some sort of a paragon of femininity, there's nothing feminine about her. She's shaped like a clothes rack. She has no feminine qualities at all, okay? She doesn't behave, in the way that a woman should. Leia did. There's absolutely nothing redeeming about her, but here we are. All right. I sit here in awe of this because, again, do you honestly think Bob Chapek and the new guy who does PR at Lucasfilm isn't aware of that? If I could actually get that guy on the phone, I would be saying, you really need to look into this because it's hurting the company, because the fans, the Star Wars Explained, well, it goes out of their way to attack fans simply because they didn't like the sequel trilogy. And they get all kinds of perks, including a blue check mark from Twitter, because they're not Star Wars fans. Star Wars Theory doesn't have a blue check mark, and he has more followers than they do. Why do they have a blue check mark? Because they are part of the in crowd. The virtue signaling, left wing, fascist, woke in crowd. And the relationship between the Star Wars Twitter account, people running that, and Star Wars Explained is going to bite them in the ass if somebody doesn't say enough is enough. No more. Cut them off. Cut those two off. I mean, did Rebel Force Radio even have a fan panel this year? Molly Damon was one of the freaking bitches who chased them off in 2018 because those guys had dared to say that there are too many women in Star Wars. I would have said that. I'm a woman. I would have said that. Okay? So we've got a lot of issues. They have issues to sort out. And whoever comes in as the head of Lucasfilm, it's going to happen sooner than you guys expect. Kathy's in France right now. They've gone from Portugal to Spain, Mallorca, back to Spain, now to France. And it's going to be 3 weeks coming up. They've been there 15 days. Okay, so it's over. She and Frank are on a long, long trip. Okay, and again, like I said, I'm confused about Callista. But, it is what it is. Kathy and Frank, it is what it is. They've been married and for a long time, and that's a big deal in Hollywood. Okay, that's a big deal. So, first off, it's none of our business. But you do have to ask yourself, what the hell? But, what's going to happen when she comes back? She comes back to California. Chapek's already been at Disneyland Paris. I think he's probably already back in Burbank working. All right. So it's going to be a very interesting next 6 months. But I have a feeling she's going to be gone sooner than that. It's just, again, don't take my word for it. But in my experience, when you look at a group of people and there's somebody there who's uncomfortable, just wants to leave, doesn't want to be there anymore, and they're leaving. They're leaving the company, they're leaving the group. And the new people that are coming in to take over are there. It's obvious to me. It is obvious, and that was obvious at Star Wars Celebration. It was obvious that Kathy had been run out of Indiana Jones. Okay? And Steven Spielberg has seen the dailies and liked what he saw. Let me put it this way. If Spielberg is part of this in any way, shape, or form, and Lucas, because if he saw the dailies, I know George did, then Kennedy's mouth has been shut and her hands were tied. Okay? And this whole thing about her being the most powerful woman in Hollywood. No, she's not. Okay? Hey, Cross Element, how you doing? You know, she's not. Okay, she's typical YouTube. She's, okay, just not. Uh, they're trying to bury me right now, I think, in the algorithm too. Um, I've only got what? How many people watching? It says 4, but sometimes there's a lot more than that. Anyway, you know, so I'm like, we'll just have to see, but I think she's done sooner rather than later. And, you know, somebody brought up, well, Michelle Ridgwan's going to. Michelle Ridgwan is like number 50 on the totem pole at Lucasfilm. Lin-Wen Brennan. Lin-Wen Brennan's leaving when Kathy does. Okay. True, she is. All right. Just, she's not taking it. I have a feeling the person who is taking over Lucasfilm was on the stage. Because it sure as hell looked like it to me. And it's a big white guy, okay, who loves Star Wars and who wants to fix it. All right. And again, I'm going to say this. The only way they're going to get the fans back isn't changing this. And it's part of it is getting rid of bad blood in the personnel department, the story group, Pablo, Hal, you know, Hal Hickel, you know, all these other people that are just amazingly really bad people. People who, you know, the people who attacked Gina Carano. I'm sure she has a list, okay? And then making it publicly known that they're going in a different direction from the sequel trilogy, and they're going to fix that first, okay? They're going to fix that first. Then they're going to go do Revan and Darth Bane and all the rest of that stuff. But they have to fix that first because people aren't going to come back. No one's going to go see a Bane trilogy or a Bane movie if if it all ends the same fucking way on a catwalk. Basically, Mustafar and Hoth smushed together. Okay, a stupid idea. Typical JJ though. I mean, that's the only way they're going to do this. They have to get rid of it and to discontinue the High Republic. All right? Slim down. Say you're slimming down and getting rid of things that aren't working out well and not earning Disney money. Oh, there goes the High Republic. Okay. You know, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Do it in a way that you're not going to, you know, look, the people who like the sequel trilogy and the High Republic, and we know who they are going to freak out. All 5 of them. And they're going to freak out on Twitter. Okay? And if what I think is happening with Twitter walked into a trap. You want to, okay, sue Elon Musk. And then you're going to be ordered to open up your books on Discovery. And Elon's going to be saying, see. This is how dumb they are. Their reasons for suing him are so stupid. He's going to end up getting Twitter for like 15 billion. All right. And then getting rid of all the bots. You might see people that we don't like that are real leave. If they don't have the ability to harass, troll, and get people banned through the algorithm, they're going to go somewhere else. All right. They'll just go. But because they won't be able to deal with the fact that there are other people out there with different opinions. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta finish what I was doing. I was trying to clean up the house, so we're having company, and it's blazing effing hot here, and the humidity. Oh, it's 92. And this thing says the humidity is 19. Bullshit. Bullshit. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.